had a client who basically was very mad at his father, and he had every reason to be. When you have his history, his father let him down in lots of different ways. I asked him one day, tell me a couple of really positive things about your dad that I wouldn't know. And the point there was not, I was trying to say, hey, you got to be nicer to your father. That's not what the point was. I had no doubt that the stuff he had told me about his father, it was true. And I had no investment whatsoever in him not being angry with his father. What I wanted to help him do is not be stuck in it. Our parents are human beings who are screwing up basically because they were screwed up. And that's not to ever make an excuse for people. I'm always telling people the reason we talk about family of origin, the reason we talk about our past history is for explanation, not excuse. The people that maybe even hurt us the most, I can tell you a lot of things that make me angry about my mom.
It's a bit like maybe it's like turning up the light in a dark room, right?
Mm-hmm.
The lighter room
Mm-hmm.
is less scary.
Mm-hmm. In this situation, I think it really did help him turn a bit of a corner, because one of the things we ended up talking about was, actually, he brought it up at one point, which was how similar he was to his father. The old thing from the program of you spot it, you got it. The scary parts of our parents, the parts that we don't want, to me really represent, sort of in a Jungian way, what we call the shadow. It's I think about both my parents. My father's, I could simplify it, my father's shame, my mother's depression, and internal rage, and silence. I not only have those potentials, I've actually played those out in my life. I've seen those things and realized. And so rather than shut your eyes real tight and put your hands over your ears and say, I'm going to try not to see and hear that, this is one of those places where we employ the principle, that I use often, which is always move towards your demons. They take their power from your retreat. And in this case, I'm not talking about the parents being demons as much as just these negative characteristics being those demons. And so so often what we do in recovery is counterintuitive. So that we lean into it, we go toward it and realize, okay, and just be honest with ourselves. Do I have the capacity? Do I still, all these years later, do I still have the capacity to be like my mother? And could I? Oh yeah, I could list a number of ways I could do that. How about the shame of my father? Absolutely, I could do that. But it's just like, for me, it's just like recovering from our addictions, Patrick. Keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer. Know where these things are. What we're learning about ourselves is that we have both the potential for negative and destructive kinds of behaviors and toward ourselves and toward others, and we have the wonderful potential for positive. And the truth is, our parents did too, and other people that maybe have harmed us did too. We need more depth there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I Herb Kagan talking about the mirrors we hold up to ourselves, or like, certain
Yes.
recovery processes are, and I think some of the hardest stuff for some of us to do is facing ourselves and investigating. And I think like othering people with bad behavior
Mm-hmm.
is can be an effective program of survival.
By the time we become adults, even if we think the problem is a dysfunctional parent who hurt us, neglected us, or abused us, the problem when we are independent adult people is not that parent. It is the version of them that lives inside of us. Robert Subby wrote a wonderful book called Lost in the Shuffle. I have one line from that book that I repeat: as children, we are victims; as adults, we're volunteers. So often we do it backwards. We look back at our childhood, and we see this sometimes in the beginning of inner child work. We kind of blame our kid. Like, no, that kid had no choice about that stuff. But as adults, we do have choices.